is Wednesday, February 3rd. This is the On the Go Post Show on Facebook and YouTube. Remember, you can always post your thoughts on the conversations that we are having during this On the Go Post Show, as well as your name and where you're watching from. I'm Danielle Wiggins with Austin Love, Dave Chadowski, Maureen Kyle, Jasmine Monroe, and Holly Strano. And we're going to be talking about a new series that Holly is launching in just a minute. But we first want to start with the big news that we're still discussing this morning, that the governor announced a number of people in Northeast Ohio given spoiled COVID-19 vaccines. Austin, you've been on the story all morning long. What's going on?
Yeah, and this has kind of been the frustration with the vaccines for a couple of weeks now. And another story that's come out where hundreds of ineffective vaccines were given to hundreds of people in nursing homes all around 5 facilities around Northeast Ohio. So essentially what happened is that Walgreens had these doses, they stored them improperly, and they didn't know that they were stored improperly, and then they were injected into these hundreds of nursing home residents. So there's no health risk with these people of getting these, but it's more of the headache and the thought of now that they have, after waiting for so long, they now have to get new doses of vaccines after waiting for these. And also it's the fact that Maureen brought up in the morning show, which is a great point, is that hundreds have now been wasted. So I think that is also another frustrating thing where, if they got this vaccine and God forbid get COVID in the next, few days, that could have been avoided. Hopefully that doesn't take place. But and the hard thing with these vaccines too, especially the Pfizer vaccine, is we know that there's it's very touchy with the temperature, and we're dealing with a high risk area where the temperature these vaccines have to be stored at a temperature of minus 72 degrees, between that and minus 112 degrees. So incredibly cold. If it goes above that for a period of time, they're effectively, ineffective. So that's a problem that we're dealing with right now. So the 5 places that receive these ineffective vaccines are the Maples in Ashtabula County, Ashtabula Towers, Willow Park in Cleveland, and Six Chimney in Cleveland. So it's frustrating is, I think, the only way to really describe this situation of getting vaccines, realize they've been spoiled essentially, and now having to get revaccinated. There's no word on when they're going to get new vaccines, but hopefully soon. They're obviously in that realm, so hopefully here within the next few days. But then Walgreens, who gave out these vaccines, they came out with a statement saying that there's no reason to believe any patients who receive these doses will suffer any harm. That's the good news. Of course, the headache that comes along with it is not the good news.
Yeah, and Connie, she already chimes in and says, well, that's exactly why they can keep it. So again, it's stuff like this where you see this rollout not going as expected, and you see a lot of maybe some distrust with the vaccine. And Jasmine, you were covering this morning about how a local pastor is really trying to get it out in the African American community by asking them to really give vaccines in churches.
Yes. So pretty much when it comes to Black African Americans, we do trust the church, and that's not, something that we take lightly. So pretty much Reverend Dr. Larry Macon Sr. has just teamed up with the organization that's called United Pastors in Mission, and they're calling on officials to designate churches as the distribution sites for the COVID-19 vaccine. So pretty much what they're going to do, the facts that we did learn is that 1.4 times Black African Americans are 1.4 more times to contract COVID-19 and 2.8 times to die from it. That's versus white Americans, and that's according to the CDC. Now, what we did learn is that what they're going to do is they're going to inform more of the Black public to get information more about COVID-19 and to get the vaccine. In order for them to do that is go to a place where it's trusted and where they feel safe, and that's the churches. So pretty much Reverend Dr. Larry Macon Sr. He's just pretty much hoping that he can bridge that gap between his congregation and the healthcare system so people can trust the healthcare system again, because there are a lot of different facts that are false about this vaccination that are in the public. So they're just trying to debunk all of those things and get them to the bottom line of trusting the healthcare system again to make sure that they're safe.
And I see a number of you chiming in. Good morning, Carolyn. Good morning to you, Maureen. Good morning, all of you. Thanks for joining in. And I do have a question here, so I'm going to read it and then bring it to everyone else. But one of the questions that we do have on there is, has anyone of the family members been vaccinated, or any one of you have known someone who's been vaccinated yet? And actually, I don't think I do in my personal life. I don't have anyone yet who has been vaccinated, but people who are waiting. So as Austin, you're saying, like when you see those doses go to waste when you have these long waiting lines of people who want to be vaccinated, it is kind of heartbreaking. Any of you have anyone?
Yeah, I do know a couple people who got the vaccination. Everyone that I'm not going to say their names. I don't know if they want people to know their personal business, but I will say that they said the first shot was okay, and they said the second shot is what pretty much got them extremely sick for 2 days. Their arm was sore, but these are things that they were told the second shot they would suffer more, I guess, severe symptoms. So it's the second shot that everyone talks about, that it's not they're not giving you more of the dosage. It's just pretty much that your body's still trying to fight off that virus, and it's the second shot. But I know at least about 5 or 6 people who received the shot already.
I know, like I have friends who are nurses that are now getting their second shot. And then also, I mean, going back to the nursing homes, which we didn't really get to talk about. I mean, it's not the headline when it comes to this issue of the botched vaccinations. But so my grandma has gotten her second shot. My uncle, who's in the same facility, got his second shot. And they're still not allowed to be in the same room together, because my uncle is allowed to, he's just in a retirement village. She's in the nursing care facility. So an issue that comes up with the more we wait with these vaccinations and the longer it takes. I mean, the CDC has not come out and said what we can do when it comes to visiting these loved ones in the nursing home. So they're waiting, I'm sure, until most people and staff in nursing homes are vaccinated. In the meantime, there are family members like me who are waiting to get in. I mean, my grandma's vaccinated. What's the holdup here? And it's really the health agencies that are waiting to get everybody vaccinated and have a very safe care level for us to get in. So the more and more like these nursing homes are behind, that's just leaving families apart. And that is another major, as we go into mental health, as we talk with Holly about that. I mean, that's another mental health issue for a lot of these elderly that are probably vaccinated. They were the first in line and they still have to wait because it's just a slow rollout.
Yeah, Kenneth Lowenstein, he says, how does Walgreens improperly store them when it has been widely discussed in its proper storage? We need to get this right the first time. It's imperative that we save lives. So Kenny from University Heights, Ohio. And you're right, Maureen, and when you're thinking about that, the mental health, us being isolated for so many months now, almost a year, really everything changed. And Holly, you have a series coming up that you previewed this morning about mental health. Can you let us know what we can expect from your series, You're Not Alone?
Sure. And I this kind of goes back to before the pandemic. A couple years ago, I opened up about my own mental health and having anxiety. And I feel like, I'm going to be really honest, I was super, super scared to talk about it because I felt ashamed. I felt like, what if I would be judged? I wasn't, the only one that maybe I was alone in my feelings, if that makes sense. And then once I did open up about it, it was like a weight was lifted. And I heard from so many of you and continue to. And so what this is really about, it's not necessarily pandemic related, but we could certainly, I think, use the help with this pandemic in place, because I feel like those that didn't even maybe suffer from anxiety or depression or some form of stress have dealt with it in some way through this. And what this series is going to do is tell a lot of your stories, because so many of you have reached out. And I feel like when we hear from others and we say, oh, look, it's happening to them too, and I'm not alone in the way I feel, or this is not unusual, or I'm not strange because of this, or this isn't bad, and there are resources, most importantly, to help. And that's what I want to emphasize the most, is that mental health is a real thing. It's a real thing. I sadly know numerous people that have dealt with depression in a severe way, and it could be so crippling. So I just, in any way that I can make a difference, I want to get the help out there. I've gone to therapy myself. I can tell you that it was life-changing for me to do what I did, because self-care is probably one of the best things you can do for yourself. And a lot of times we're just ashamed, and that's so silly.
Yeah, well, we are all looking forward to your series, and we appreciate you for being so open and transparent. So we hope that it can, like you said, help people. I love what you said this morning about sometimes we compare to other people, right, and say, oh, why am I, it's not that bad.
Well, and it's funny that you bring that up, and I know we have to go, but that was probably my biggest struggle with talking about my own anxiety, because
uh-oh, did she freeze?
No, somebody's yelling in the background.
Oh
no. Oh no, that's the space.
No, but
you gotta keep it quiet over there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
No, but I did struggle with that, Danielle, and I thought, how can I, say that I'm stressed when, my mom's friend is having heart surgery tomorrow or whatever. I'm just, it's a very personal journey, and it doesn't mean that your journey isn't as important as anyone else's.
Everyone has their own experience. Yeah.
Holly brings up a great point. I mean, that's something I think all of us have gone through over the past year. Like, we're all isolated. We're all going through a lot of stress. Life has changed so much. And you bring up a good point that, I've definitely looked at other people and gone like, well, I'm not going through that, so my feelings aren't validated.
Right.
And so oh, well, my struggle isn't, why am I throwing a pity party, or why am I feeling bad when so-and-so is going through something so much worse? But everybody needs to be upfront with their feelings. And, I love what you say about everybody's individual journey. And I think all these stories that you'll bring to the forefront are going to help so many people, whether, like I said on the show, whether they've been diagnosed or they go undiagnosed.
Yeah.
Maureen, you said the word journey, and that's so true. And that's what my sister calls it. She suffered major heartbreak, and we don't have time to get into it, but she always talks about everyone has their individual journey. And so Holly, you bring up great points here, and everyone has to go through that. And you can't worry about whether somebody has it worse or better or not. You have to worry about your own journey and get the people that can help you through it. And only you really can help you through in the end, you have to help yourself.
Right. Yeah. There is no such thing as perfection. Work in progress. Work in progress.
See, but I tell my husband that there is such a thing as perfection, and he has it. So I hope he's not watching.
Well, we thank you.
Maybe I should go to him
for letting us be on your journey. And Maureen, Dave, and Holly will catch you during the Today Show, and we'll see you tomorrow morning starting at 4:30 a.m. Have a great day, everybody. See you tomorrow also.
Bye-bye.